what do I need to do? I need to do this. Okay.
Good?
Yes, good.
Radio. I've got the Arbor Vice wheels from their Signature Series. These are the Daniel Macdonald Pro models, or the Danny Max. These are new wheels last year in 2021 from Arbor. They released a bunch of different wheels from a few different team riders in a couple of different shapes and sizes. But these ones are the sort of freeride oriented ones. These come in 69mm, 78A, then they're stone ground. They're a little bit offset, just kind of your standard freeride type shape. My kind of assumption of these wheels was that they were going to be sort of to compete with Snakes. Quite a few different brands are now coming out with wheels that are at least marketed to look like they're going to perform in a similar way to Snakes, because that's what everyone's riding these days. So that was sort of my expectation going into these wheels. Similar wheels like I'm referring to are like Venom just came out with their sideshows, Blood Orange has their Drift series, and Arbor has these Signature Series wheels. So that was my expectation. I thought they were going to be slippery, durable, and smooth, all sort of in comparison with Snakes. In the promo footage, they do leave Thane lines, so I knew they were going to be a little bit different, but that was sort of my expectation of the style of wheel, which didn't turn out being exactly how they performed. I actually think they're nicer than Snakes because they're more my sort of style of wheel, but we'll get into that. Yeah, so the stone ground, which means when you do your first run, they slide right away. They're super nice. They're actually slipperier fresh, or at least they were for me when I was breaking them in, and they have reasonably sharp lips because the lips are still not stone ground. So the first few runs were quite slippery, a little bit of that kind of scratchy noise when you're breaking them in, but they slid nicely right away and they broke in really, really easily. And they're like so smooth. Like, I don't know, whenever you think of skating and wheels, what's the smoothest wheels you've ridden, then these are even more. That's, for me anyway, and I've ridden a few different wheels, that was just, the feeling was just so smooth in the slide. So that was really cool. I really liked that. And they thane a little bit when you're first breaking them in, but not a ton. But just the first impressions of the wheel was really, really great, which is always nice. Like when you get a fresh set of wheels, you first put them on your board, and then the first run they feel great. So that's one thing that I really liked about these wheels. Once they're broken in, you get into the lip, there's no, like, you get through the stone ground, the wheels are just now in where they're supposed to be. They do get a little grippier. They're not even on the same level as Snakes. They're nothing like that in their feeling. They're not grippy wheels, but they're not like a on the pavement really slidey wheel. I would compare them to like the feeling of being kind of in the pavement as something like a Blood Orange, but with a lot less grip. So they're a lot slipperier than a Blood Orange, but they have that really in the pavement kind of meaty feeling slide. And they thane a fair amount, like a decent amount. I would have been skating these sort of halfway through the spring is when I first put them on. I mean, the fall is when I first put them on. So it's getting colder, like everything's getting stickier and grippier, especially up here in the Northeast. And they were still thaning quite a decent amount and still sliding pretty nicely. But a couple of times I did ride them and it was like a bit of a colder day, or it had been raining the day before and the pavement just was really cold. They started to get quite grippy. So you definitely don't want to be on these in the winter or in colder temperatures. But yeah, really, really smooth. Medium grip, I would say, as far as freeride wheels go, medium grip. Pretty thaney, but not a midsy dumper, but pretty thaney. And their durability is not that high. It's probably mid-grade, like, because they're not some midsy wheel that's thaning a ton. They're not just dying in one session. This is my smallest one of my set, and I've skated 5 or 6 sessions, probably several hours of skating on this set, and some of it driving runs, some of it hiking runs, some of it neighborhood, a little bit of everything. And they've definitely worn down a bit. You can see on this wheel, this is my smallest one, you've sort of start to lose the graphic. The biggest one, however, still has its graphic, so they're definitely not like fast wearing, but they're not very durable. But I think like the best thing that stood out to me about these wheels was just like how smooth they were and how consistent they were and how they felt. I felt really comfortable on these wheels, and I started working on pushing my stand-up toe sides quite a bit. That's what I felt really good on. Yeah, so I guess I'll go through a list of pros and cons. The pros, Thane lines. I love Thane lines, so that's cool. Really smooth. They feel really controllable. You have so much control. You can go really fast and not feel like you're going to ice out going around a turn. But when you're going really slow, they're also going to slide enough, so they're really controllable. That nice middle grade of grippiness. They're not so slippery that when you're going fast, you think you're going to wash out on a turn, but not so grippy. Same thing again, that you don't feel like you're going to high side when you're going slow. I guess another pro would be the price. They're not too expensive. They're not cheap, but they're not like crazy expensive, and they last a little while, so that's not too bad. I guess my cons for these wheels would be their roll speed. It's not like it's a bad roll speed, it's just not fast. It's not a fast wheel, it's just an average wheel. So if you're looking for a really fast wheel, I mean, it's probably not going to be the one. It's not slow, it just didn't stand out as a fast wheel to me. The durability is definitely a little more on the con side because they're not super durable. You're more likely to get things like ovals and flat spots, and also just finish the wheel earlier. Like I said a little earlier, I was feeling really comfortable and started pushing my stand-up toe sides and really working on them. And I think I've got a clip where you can kind of see it. I started making some mistakes with my toe sides where instead of letting my back foot sort of hook up by catching up to the front truck, I was sort of pushing my front foot back in almost like a pendy kind of way, and that actually ovaled the wheels a little bit, which it's not like I was blasting 90 degrees or throwing fat pendies. I was just doing that little sort of motion with my front foot, and I've started to feel some ovals in these wheels, which is a little bit like, obviously that's on me and the way I've been skating, but at the same time it's like that means these wheels aren't super forgiving. These are going to be fine. I'll just keep skating them. If I do some low angle drifts, they're going to round out, which is, I guess, one thing about low durability is you can normally fix them, but it's something to consider if you're prone to ovals or flat spots. Then that might not be the best for you. And also, like I already said, when it gets colder, these are going to get a bit stickier, so they're not going to be good in those colder temperatures, and there's no way I'd ride these in the winter. But with that all said, recommendations, who would I recommend them for? I guess any free riders. If you're skating neighborhood runs, hiking runs, these are really, really nice wheels. They're so smooth, so controllable. They do leave Thane, which I love. Yeah, they're reasonably soft. Like when you're rolling, you don't feel the vibrations too bad. They're pretty smooth rolling as well. Just perfect for that kind of stuff. Probably not like ideal for 180s and pendies and that kind of stuff. So if you like to throw 180s, or any of you like, I don't know, crazy 360, more techie stuff, these might not be as good because of that ovaling like problem. If you're someone that shuts down using pendies, that kind of stuff, that might not be so good. Drive runs are perfectly fine. I was doing some drive runs at our local spot. I also rode these down at the Reddish Knob event, and perfectly good for long roads like that. You're just going to have to rotate them more often because they wear quickly, or you're going to have to really focus on doing sliding both ways to keep the wheel wear even. Yeah, but for neighborhood skating or like more casual skating, these are really, really nice wheels. They also come in a white thing, and I think the Tyler Howell models, or maybe it's just a different color, I'd have to check. In the white thing, look like they might thane more. I'd be keen to try them. Like, this has been a good experience, and yeah, I really enjoyed these wheels. Yeah, I don't even know about them until maybe 6 months ago, and that's the other thing that's kind of random is they actually came out last year, and I thought they were new this year with all the other wheels. So I don't know how I missed that, but I bought them this year and really enjoyed them. Yeah, cool wheels.